Hello students, today we are taking the poem An Elementary School Classroom in a Slum. As the title itself indicates, it is about a classroom which has been set up in a slum. And the poet is Stephen Spender. The poet tries to highlight the condition of the children who are supposed to go for education, get educated in a slum classroom. Now, before I take up the poem, let me tell you something about the poet. The poet is a prominent poet of modern age, and he was born in 1909 and died in 1995. What is the basic important quality prominent in this particular poet is his sensitivity to the contemporary social and political problems of the times. He has selflessly come out of his individual self, and through this poem and many other his writings, he has tried to understand the problems of the less fortunate, and he tries to bring out the issues. As you know, in our society, we can find a huge gap, a huge difference between the people who have a lot of wealth, and also on the other hand we have the people who don't have sufficient to eat even. So the purpose of the poet is take up the issue of the gap, the gulf between haves and have-nots. And in this particular poem, the poet describes the condition of a slum classroom. It is an elementary school classroom. That means the education imparted is right now from an earlier stage, a primary level classroom. And you can well imagine the condition of the children in this school is supposed to be not that good, not that encouraging, as we know that these children come from a very poor background. Their parents are poor, they can't support them economically, they can't provide them the daily necessities. As such, even a look at the children sitting in the classroom gives us an idea what type of life these children are leading. They are untidy, as they don't have approach to the facilities. They can't have a bath daily, they can't change their clothes, and their economic condition is not such that can help them to live a better life. And as they don't get proper food to eat, physically also they are not that healthy, and they look very miserable, they look pathetic. And there are some children who are even physically handicapped because they have inherited some disease from their parents, and their parents are not in a position to provide them medical care for their disabilities. Some children, I'm just highlighting the important points of the poem. Some children who have been described in the class. There is a tall girl with way down head. And what does this symbolize? The girl is tall, no doubt. God has gifted her with good physique, good height. But she's ashamed of herself. Her head is bent way down because she is ill-clad. She is not confident enough. She is underfed, she is weak, subdued and suppressed, and she is burdened by the poverty and hunger. So she does not show confidence, she does not have a confident look. And there is another boy, and he has been described as paper seeming boy. Now, what is paper seeming boy? As the words themselves communicate, paper seeming means he is thin, he is undernourished, and he is looking at the things, at the other people in the class with rat's eyes. And again the expression used here, paper seeming boy with rat's eyes. The rat's eyes are very anxious, curious, and they are always on lookout for something. And this boy also seems to look out for something. And there is another boy, stunted, unlucky air of twisted bones. He has a bone disease. Perhaps he has inherited this disease from his father. His father, being economically weak, being poor, coming from a very poor economic background, has not been able to cure himself, and this boy is also having this disability in him. And there is one unnoted sweet boy at the end of the class, and that sweet boy, who is not noted very clearly because he is stuck at the end of the class, at the back of the class, his eyes live in a dream. His eyes live in a dream means his eyes are bright and shining, and he reflects desire for some better life. He is not happy with the life he is leading. He is not happy with the life of this dull, boring, pathetic classroom. He wants to live a better life. He wants to enjoy his life. And the classroom itself is not very bright and pleasant. As first of all, the color of the walls has been described in the class. The walls are sour cream, dull and lifeless. And that reflects the mood of the students, because they don't have more of money, such money, they don't have enough funds that they can maintain this classroom in a better way. And this classroom is depicting, there are some lists of some donors who have been donating money to upkeep this classroom. They run the expenditure of the classroom, and also there is a portrait of Shakespeare. This is somewhat ironical here. Portrait of Shakespeare, it symbolizes higher learning. As you know, Shakespeare is one of the greatest dramatists of the world, and anybody who goes much ahead in academics, who studies for higher education, they have approached, they would love, they have to study Shakespeare. But the children who are so miserable in their life, who don't have approach to even 2 meals a day, it doesn't feel very possible, very probable, very likely that they are going to have approach to higher education. So picture or portrait of Shakespeare in the class, Shakespeare said, is somewhat ironical. And there are all the pictures of flowery valleys and big tombs, and these valleys are again very rare for them, and it is very improbable, it is not possible that these children will someday live in such beautiful surroundings. Their life is just going to be, it is bound to be spent in the slums where they are born. And again, this is something which doesn't which is not apt for this classroom, because it is in total contrast to their current living conditions. Their future is bleak and unclear, and their entire life, which is destined to be spent in this filthy slum. They will never perhaps get an opportunity. They are not fortunate enough that they will enjoy the beauty and glory of nature, that they will come out of this slum classroom and enjoy the world outside. There are the literary devices I would like to point out here. Simile has been used, like rootless weeds. Rootless weeds means weeds, as you know, is unnecessary, unwanted, automatic growth of the plants, and their hair, which is untidy and unkept, it has been compared with weeds. And weeds also signify that they are useless. We can just interpret it this way, that these children are not considered very useful by the society. When we are growing the crops in the fields, we take every care that the crops are healthy, fertilizers are provided, and other steps are taken to ensure the healthy growth of the crops. At the same time, we also take sure that weeds don't crop in, and we remove the weeds so that the growth of the crops is not disturbed. So we can say that our society considers these children, these slum children, like weeds for the society. They are not useful. Societies, they are useful. Every member of the society is useful, and they are not given that much of care and attention as they should be given as human beings. So we can consider this use of weeds in that sense as well. Then there is bottle bits on stone. Their aspirations, their hopes of slum children, they are shattered like bits of glass. Like catacombs, the slum children, they live in dark, dingy rooms resembling the cemeteries. Means whatever the living conditions they have been provided with, they have to live their life, they are very rare, they are very dark, they are very unhygienic, they are very unhealthy, right? Slums as big as doom. So condition, why have the slums been compared to doom? Because life is worse than death. Whatever they get in their slums is not worth living, is not worth appreciation, is not something that they can consider to be fortunate or growing for their future. Then there are metaphors used. Rat's eyes. It is suggestive of a boy's timidity and anxiety. The boy, he is quite active. His eyes are like the rats, and he most probably he doesn't get sufficient food to eat, and whenever he looks around, and the first thing we look, whether we are rich or poor, when we are very hungry, the first thing we would like to look for is food. And then his eyes are rat's eyes. They are inquisitive, they are anxious, and they are on lookout. Maybe he's on the lookout for some food and security. Then there's father's gnarl disease. The father who has a bone disease. That bone disease has been passed on to his son, and he is living his miserable life with that bone disease. Squirrel's game is another metaphor. Squirrel's game, the boy, young and active boy who is sitting at the back of the class, he is not happy with the type of life he is leading in the class. He wants his life to be active, to be fresh. He wants to go out and play. And squirrel's game means, as you must have seen a squirrel, squirrel is very active, playful, frolic, it moves here and there. Similarly, this boy wants an active life. He wants a playful life to live. And then there is, in a hollow of a tree, a boy imagines a playful life and future painted with fog, uncertain future, future blurred by the lack of hope and absence of empathy for these children. And then we have another important expressions I would like to take up. Weighed down head, the tall girl with weighed down head. Weighed down, why? Because she is overburdened, she is subdued. She is not confident enough. Maybe she is not wearing proper clothes. She is not happy about the way she looks. She is not confident enough. And paper simming boy, thin, weak, frail, rootless weeds I've already discussed. And eyes live in a dream, in a squirrel's game. Dream of bright future, frisk and frolic, and hope for a bright future. Shakespeare's head refers to higher level of education and higher learning. Lead sky. Lead sky is sky which lacks hope. Sky is mostly bright, sunny, and it represents hope when it is bright and sunny. Lead sky is absence of hope. It is polluted with toxic smog, and it obstructs the aspirations of slum children. Then there the words ships, love, sun have been used. What do they symbolize? Ships. Ships are mostly a symbol of travel, exploration, visiting different places. When you have a look at the ship, what automatically comes to your mind? Travel, going abroad, going to different places, seeing, learning, knowing, enjoying yourself at far places. Love is care, which these children mostly lack. They don't get, it's not love. Maybe parents love their children, but they also need the support of the society. They need the support of administration. They need the support of governments. Sun again symbolizes hope, progress, and education. From fog to endless night, the pathetic lives of slum children are full of misery. Means from one problem, they have to go to another problem. They may try to solve one problem, but another crops in. So there is no end to their problems. Their problems are endless. Slag heap. Slag heap is referred to pile of waste material that remains after metal has been removed from the rock. Here it refers to garbage or the rubbish or the conditions, unhygienic conditions in which these poor children have to live. Bones peeping through their skins. That shows lack of proper food. deficiency of food, deficiency of nutritious diet which they require at this stage. So they are weak, worn out, and the poet has used the expression bones peeping through their skins. Mended glasses. This is an expression which tells us about glasses are supposed to be very important and helpful if you require them to wear, but these people cannot afford glasses. Sometimes they use repaired, sometimes they use the discarded objects by the affluent people. So there is dearth of the required things which they need in their daily life. As big as doom, life in the slum is worse than death. And there are symbols and images. Green fields, gold sands. Means green fields, it symbolizes carefree and happy life. Means let them come. The poet wants, the poet feels, the poet appeals to a society that let these children come out of these shackles. Let them come out of these dirty slums. Let them come in a different social and economic order. Let there be justice to them. Let tongues run naked into books. This is the appeal, and these are the key words used by the poet. Education is a medium. Education is a way that will help such children to change their lives. So if we provide facilities, if we provide education, if we provide the infrastructure and support required, they will get educated, and education is the only hope that can change their lives. This is the appeal made by the poet to the society as a whole. Sun. Sun is grace and light of God, light of education. History is theirs whose language is the sun. This the poet here says that the people who have grit and determination, and here they may have grit and imagination, what is required is support to make that flourish. We can have a seed unless we water it, we give it the proper surroundings, we have the fertilizers, we have the suitable conditions of its growth, it can't grow. So they may have different talents unless they are given the opportunity, they are given the facilities, those things will not flourish. Sour cream is the dull. Look at atmosphere of the walls. To conclude, I would like to just go through the message which poet wants to convey. This is equality of providing education to these children, to free them from the clutches of hunger and poverty. When they are poor, they are hungry, and they will always be hunger stricken. The administration needs to wake up to their social change. They need to come forward to help them, and world needs to do something to accommodate these poor children. Practical steps are required to be taken to ensure bridging the gap between haves and have-nots. Social order needs to be changed, and we need to come forward to ensure that something is done. Thank you.